BYD is the world's most vertically integrated electric car company, and it just announced a $2.4 billion factory to be built, in addition to 4 other factories it's working on at the moment. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. You are watching The Electric Viking. My name is Sam Evans. Awesome to see so many new subscribers come on board to the channel over the last 2 weeks. And I know a lot of you have come over here from Sandy Munro's channel. Big shout out to Sandy. Make sure, if you don't know who Sandy Munro is, that you check out his channel. I'll put a link to his channel in the description down below. Now, CNEV Post just reported that BYD's new $2.4 billion parts production project has started construction. And as you all know, if you're familiar with what happened with Tesla's factory in China, production of factories doesn't get slowed down by millions of permitting processes and delays and court cases and blah, 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 all the stuff that makes it take 20 years to build an airport in Germany. It happens very, very quickly, especially when you are a Chinese company. You can imagine, right? Tesla's not even Chinese. It's the only car company in China allowed to build its own vehicles. Everyone else has to do a JV with the Chinese car company so that company, the Chinese car company, actually builds them. Tesla is the only company that doesn't have to do that, and yet their factory went up in record time. You can imagine the kind of record time that a company like BYD would be able to build a $2.4 billion factory. Now, BYD has officially started construction of its New Energy Auto Parts Industrial Parts Park in Xi'an, Shaanxi province in northwest China. It's paving the way for the company to further expand its vehicle production capacity. Like I said, vertical integration is the name of the game for BYD. It's one of the key reasons why it's able to offer its electric cars at the same price as it does, or as other automakers do petrol cars. Now, I was going to say at the same price as it does its petrol cars, but the reality is now only 6.5% of all cars sold by BYD in the month of November were petrol. I think it was about 9% in the previous month, about 20% the month before that. You can see BYD has rapidly changed into an electric car company. Within the space of 12 months, it's been quite an amazing transformation. Now, the groundbreaking ceremony for the project was held on December the 5th in the presence of BYD executives from the Shaanxi provincial government, according to information released Monday by the local government. Now, one of the things a lot of people are not aware of is that car companies in China get subsidies from local governments, and in addition to that, from the federal government or the major government, and also even from local councils. They get subsidies from all over the place. Plus, in addition to that, the buyer gets a subsidy from the Chinese government as well. There's a lot of money being poured into this industry, especially for car companies like BYD. Because obviously, if you're a local council and BYD says, yeah, we're going to build a $2.4 billion factory in your area, it's very different to some like local electric car startup saying, we want to do this. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's probably going to work. We'll give you a bit of money. But it's BYD here we're talking about. They know that BYD are going to be one of the largest, already are, one of the 3 largest electric car companies in the world, will be one of the 3 largest automotive companies in the world by 2030, according to my projections. They know that that's going to bring in a lot of money, a lot of jobs to that area. So they're willing to give out huge subsidies in return. Of course, yeah, a lot of people will say, subsidies are propping up the industry, subsidies are propping up. A lot of people just don't realize what the reality here is. Subsidies prop up the automotive industry worldwide, and they have done for 100 years. That is not going to change. Now, this project, which includes an electric assembly plant, an electric motor plant, and an electric control plant, is expected to be completed by 2024. And it will achieve an annual output of around RMB 70 billion when it reaches full production. Now, BYD's cooperation with the local council where it's building this factory began all the way back in 2003, and as of October 2021, BYD has invested RMB 31.5 billion in Shaanxi, providing more than 60,000 local jobs. Now, this local city, right, where there's about 5 million people, they say that they're going all electric sales only of vehicles by 2030. And they're the first major city in China to set that goal. In other words, they're saying that if you're an automaker that sells petrol cars, a legacy automaker from Japan, from America, from Europe, wherever you're from, you're not welcome in this city in 2030, because there are no legacy auto manufacturers that plan on making 100% electric cars in China by 2030. In fact, most of them are saying that only a pretty small percentage of their car sales in China will be fully electric in 2030. Now, this gives you a really good idea of what's happening to legacy auto, because we're talking about the world's largest car market here. We're talking about more than 50% of electric car sales in the last few months globally have been in China. 20% of all car sales in November were electric in China. You can see the industry in China doesn't want petrol cars. They're transitioning to electric cars at an incredibly fast rate. More and more local governments are going to follow this government and say, guess what, legacy auto? You're not welcome here unless you're going to sell electric cars. And seeing as, well, you don't, well, only a small fraction of your cars are electric, then, well, too bad, so sad. That's what's going to happen. Now, as China's largest maker of new energy vehicles, BYD is still facing capacity bottlenecks. They say that they're about 40,000 vehicles behind constantly. Now, that is despite current deliveries of nearly 100,000 units a month. BYD released sales figures last week, showing it sold 91,220 new energy vehicles in November. That's an increase of 242% from 1 year earlier and 13% from October. Now, among those vehicles, BYD sold 46,137 purely electric vehicles in November. That's an increase of 153% from 18,220 1 year earlier. Its plug-in hybrid vehicles sold 43,984 units in November. That's an increase of 500% from 7,333 units in the same month last year. This would probably give you this false impression that in China, people want plug-in hybrids just as much as they want electric vehicles. But actually, the complete opposite is true. In China, of the 20% of all vehicle sales that were electric, about 95% of those were purely electric. In other words, the Chinese market is not really very interested in plug-in hybrids. You know why? The reason is because once a car market has access to electric vehicles that cost the same amount as a plug-in hybrid or the same amount as a diesel, petrol, gas car, they almost invariably choose the fully electric vehicle. Now, on November the 18th, BYD's chairman, President Wang Shanfu, said that demand for BYD's DMI platform models far exceeded supply, with orders on hand for as many as 200,000 units, and that the delivery period for those models is now 4 months. Now, you can just imagine the scale challenges BYD will be facing, very similar to Tesla, when they go global next year. Obviously, Australia's waiting for cars, New Zealand's waiting for cars, the UK is waiting for cars, Central South America is waiting for cars, India's waiting for cars, Southeast Asia is waiting for cars, China is waiting for cars. You can see it's going to be a huge logistical challenge similar to Tesla in terms of ramping up so they can actually try to meet some of this crazy demand they're seeing right now. Now, BYD's CEO said that BYD has invested very heavily in batteries, but demand still far exceeded supply this year. So demand, and the reason for that is that demand this year has been much higher than BYD expected. Now, if BYD had been watching my videos when I started 7 months ago, they probably would have realized that, hey, the Electric Viking says the demand's going to be crazy. All right, we should ramp up. But to be honest, I think that, they knew it would happen by then. I think they could see the writing on the wall anyway. Now, on January the 11th, BYD released the DMI Super Hybrid technology that they currently have, which is an electric drive-based hybrid technology that can make the vehicle range exceed 1,200 kilometers. So their plug-in hybrid technology is quite good, and that's one of the key reasons for the demand that they're getting for plug-in hybrids. The other reason is because, well, they're pretty cheap, pretty affordable cars, and some buyers are still on the wall about electric cars. But remember, China has more plug-in chargers now than any other country in the world, and those charging stations are being built out everywhere at an incredibly fast pace. And adoption of electric cars is increasing at an insane rate in China. It's actually far exceeded my expectations this year. If you look at the sales numbers, they're just truly, truly staggering. We have well and truly hit that point where there's just no return for ICE vehicles. Thanks for watching the channel. Appreciate your support, and I'll see you again on the next one. Bye-bye.